Okay. Sweet.
Hello and welcome to the Front Row Movie Reviews, the podcast for people who actually like movies, and welcome to full disclosure of the 18th film in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. That is Black Panther, directed by Ryan Coogler, starring Chadwick Boseman and a whole bunch of other really awesome actors.
Mm-hmm.
I am Scott, and with me to discuss this film is...
Kashani Thomas.
You're up, Reggie.
Oh, Reggie Guyton.
Brian Lutens.
Yay, we did it. Yay, okay.
Sad.
I just had to get out my cattle prod for one person, but aside from that, we're fine. Okay,
sorry,
so for those watching on YouTube, welcome. Feel free to join in the chat so we can talk together. First things first, I'm going to give you a spoiler warning. We will be spoiling the hell out of this movie. So if you have not seen it yet, please stop watching because I'll tell you right now, you should go see it. And I think everyone's going to agree on that here. Yep. And we will start with spoilers in 3, 2, 1. Ulysses' claw is not bulletproof. Okay. So first things first, we will go ahead and start talking about our first impressions of the film. And what I mean by that is what you were thinking and what your knowledge base was for the character of Black Panther when you walked into the theater. So let's go with Deshani first.
Okay, so I actually had a little bit of knowledge of Black Panther before going to see the movie because I read a decent amount of comic books. So I knew about Wakanda, and my big thing was how are they going to display this fictional world of technology that mixes with traditionalism. And I feel like that was done very well. The biggest thing was how are they going to make all this technology happen and make it visual. And I think they did a great job with that.
Cool. Reggie.
So, like Deshani, I knew a little bit about the history of Black Panther, but I didn't really get to see a lot of it because the comic books were kind of obscure and I didn't really have a lot of access to comic books. But I was super psyched when I knew that this was happening. I immediately was just all into the Afro-futurism kind of style. And really, like Deshani said, was kind of leery because I was like, how are they going to do this? And are they going to do it right? Because there's a lot of ways to do this wrong. Let's be real.
Truth.
But they did great. It was just, it was so good. So good.
Lutens.
For me, it was just kind of a baseline knowledge about Black Panther. When they came out with the Marvel Cinematic Universe, or when I heard that this was happening, I did my research, and ever since I saw that little blip on Incredible Hulk screen of that African continent of Wakanda, I decided to dive in. And, and what I like about Black Panther just is the fact that he's very real for what he fights for and everything. So I was really eager to see this movie. And so I think they did a fabulous job of everything. Everything was so well tied together. So
I am a Marvel fanboy. Everyone knows that. And therefore I grew up with way too much Marvel in my life.
Never too much Marvel.
I did read a lot of comics, and I read not so much a lot of Black Panther because, Reggie, you're right. Especially when we were growing up, there wasn't a lot out there. It's had in the mid-2000s, he had more of a big publishing arc, and they've done a lot with him since then. But when we were kids, or when I was a kid, I think I'm older than everybody here, there wasn't too much to latch onto. Things I knew about Black Panther and that I really liked that this movie dealt with, and I'll talk more about it, is Black Panther is one of the most powerful characters in the Marvel Universe. And I don't mean that by he's the strongest. I mean, he is a chess player. He controls a lot of what's going on. In the later years, he is a part of the Illuminati, which is, seriously, Mr. Fantastic, Iron Man, Professor X, Captain America, Namor, and Black Bolt, and him. And they control almost everything that goes on when it comes to superheroes and when it comes to the world. So when you see that this guy has all this power behind him in terms of Wakanda, there's a lot of stuff coming, I think, and I'm really excited for that. And
Mhm.
for the reason why I was really excited for this film is obviously it was a Marvel film, but also Ryan Coogler is an amazing director.
Yes.
He's so
Yes.
good. He's
I
so
love
good.
I loved Creed. Creed was amazing. The
Fruitville
filmmaking,
Fruitvale was
Station.
amazing.
yes,
Oh,
Fruitville Station too. But I didn't see Fruitville Station until after I saw Creed, and I went back to
Mistake.
it. But yeah, the filmmaking that he does, and I'll just say it right now: the casino scene is
Yes.
wow.
it
Yeah.
was so. That was art, pure
Yeah.
art.
Well, and
Like I
that's
know, like yeah.
yeah.
Go
No,
ahead.
I
Go ahead.
so no, I'm just saying. So that's I was excited to see this film for this reason. So let's go ahead and talk about things we liked about the movie specifically. So let's go backwards this time, and Ryan, you go first.
For me, one thing I liked about this movie was um, probably the most prominent thing, and that's character. Every one of these characters was phenomenally and very well acted. Um, Chadwick Boseman, you felt T'Challa. I mean, you look at him like, who is that? That's T'Challa. I mean, and then you have, oh man, I'm gonna butcher her name, but Michonne from Walking Dead. What's her name?
Oh, I
Oh,
butchered it too.
Okay, but her as his guard, his general, I want her backing me up in fights. But more importantly for me, probably the best thing about this movie is the villains. First off, you have Andy Serkis in a non-digital role as Ulysses Claw, and being the psycho crazy person that he is was awesome. But more importantly, the staple of Ryan Coogler, Michael P. Jordan or B. Jordan, um, his Eric Killmonger. Um,
so good.
I've never believed a Marvel villain until him. He's got nothing on anybody else. His character was a believable villain with great depth for motive. But other than that, I just I can't go. I mean, the characters were great. I mean, but let's not forget the elephant in the room. The baby sister Shuri
Yes.
stole the movie.
Yes.
Stole the movie. But other than that, I mean, when you have a great movie that's driven by great characters, you have a great film. I mean, the visuals were spectacular, the action was spectacular, but the characters were believable and phenomenal. So for me, that was it. I mean, that's what made that movie so awesome.
Reggie, what do you got?
Oh my gosh. So much. So like I love character. I love a plot line. I love storytelling. That's like first and foremost for me. So I'm with you on like believability and character. But like the layers that they brought to this storyline
Yes.
and it was just I'm like I could crawl inside of myself and explode. I'm so happy because it's so good. The way that they explored not only self-preservation as far as like a national level and the
Yes.
responsibility of like uh, having power and wielding it, but wielding it in the right way was just so incredibly well done. And then the other issues that they touched on within the African American community, as far as like having a displacement from your culture and home, and as using Killmonger as like that that piece to talk about that was just so
Preach.
good. It was so good, and it made me so happy because like you had characters that were fully realized, fully thought through, and
Yes.
they were being real with their emotion. There was a lot of good and bad. There wasn't just like a one-sided, oh, I feel that this guy's completely holy in this. No, there's like a lot of gray area within their decisions, and it's so great to see the way that it was acted out and brought forth in the story. I loved it. I loved it.
You know, I completely agree with you on Killmonger. I love the fact, and Ryan, you mentioned this too. Marvel tends to put a lot of emphasis on their heroes, which I'm completely fine with, but that means the villains take a back seat. And some of them take a really far back seat to where they're not memorable at all. But if my father was murdered and my family left me on a basketball court in the middle of the hood in 1992, I'd be pretty pissed off as well. And I love that he keeps to, I mean, obviously he's the villain and he's making poor choices to get where he's going. But I love that he keeps his philosophy up until his last breath. Even in his last breath, where T'Challa is saying, "We can save you," he's like, "No, I do not want to be imprisoned. I want to die free." And that was pretty badass.
Yeah.
Deshani, what you got?
Okay, so of course I'm going to go straight to the strong Black women.
Yeah.
Guys, this is so important. Like, just the women in general are strong characters physically, mentally, emotionally. Like, yes, your stepson just died and you got to break down, but you also know you got to get it together and figure out how to save this kingdom, because this is happening. When Nakia was asked, "Why don't you take the herb?" She's like, "I'm a spy. I am not a fighter. It's not, oh, I can't do it, I'm a woman. It's, I know my place. I am a spy. I can't defeat this. I need help." And it's just, it's so brilliant. The smartest person is a 16-year-old girl who is running all the technology. Like, guys. And side note, because I'm a hair and makeup person for theater, the hair, the makeup, the costumes are amazing. I sobbed when I saw some of this stuff. I'm just like, oh. And it's very, very rare that you get to see my hair can look like that, and I don't have to do a bunch of stuff to it.
Yeah.
I love Angela Bassett's.
I was just gonna say Angela Bassett.
Because you don't see her hair until they're running at the end. But
Yeah, right?
With white hair. Oh, I loved it. It was
The white locks. It's just so good. Which
Beautiful.
for me, it just takes me to store. But that's another story for another time in another universe. Anyway.
No, but you're right. I mean, the color in this film, and I'm sorry, I'm a bash on DC again, but in a time where a lot of superhero films are dark,
and moody,
this thing is so bright.
Yes, I mean, it was great.
The final battle is on an open African field with the sun shining down. It is beautiful.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Mm-hmm.
But also in the dark times, when they're in South Korea, that's probably one of the best action scenes. I think it is the best action scene with the car chase. I mean, there's so much going on with visualization here. And I completely agree with you. And that's what I was going to hit on too, Deshani, is the strong female characters in this is amazing. In fact, T'Challa isn't exactly, I mean, he's obviously the hero of the film, but he takes a back seat. And literally when he gets thrown off a mountain, he really takes a back seat. So you have, you have Nakia, you have Shuri, you have Okia, and then obviously T'Challa's mom. All of them just are working to make sure that this doesn't happen, and as you said, they don't go in guns blazing because they're going to lose. Another thing I really liked about this is even some of the villains in Black Panther's pantheon are used and not villains. M'Baku is Man-Ape in the comics. M'Baku is one of the major villains of Black Panther. And I'm sure he will play a villain role if we get a part 2 or part 3.
We will.
Mm-hmm. But I love the fact that M'Baku is used not as a villain. He's a foil, but at the end of the day, he is here to, help and be honorable and realize that I really don't like T'Challa in charge, but this Killmonger guy is going to get everyone killed. So let's get him out of the way first. Anything else you guys want to hit on with what you liked?
The costumes. So I need to talk about the costumes of I'm going to say this wrong. The Dora Milaje?
The army, the guard.
Yes. So not only was the clothing very traditional inspired, but like the armor was actual armor for women.
Mhm,
Let's talk about
mhm.
that for like 2.5.
No midriff
like,
showing.
no midriff showing.
Yes.
Like accurate,
Yes.
good shoulder gear, good chest plate, nothing too like exaggerated, but also like still realize like, yes, this is a woman and she's about to whoop that ass. Like, oh, can I say? I probably can't.
Yeah,
My
you're
bad.
fine. You're fine.
But like, but the
I've said
costumes,
so much worse. Don't worry.
the costumes were incredible. Not just for the guards, but even across the board. Everything that uh, Angela Bassett's character, Queen Ramonda, and Shuri wore had a touch of regality to it, but it was also very much like it wasn't super flourish. It wasn't something that was just like a African nightmare, for a lack of better term. Everything was very tastefully thought out, and you could tell that there was genuine care and concern about the tradition and how to be royal, like regal, and that matters so much. Like, we talked about hair. Well, Deshani talked about how seeing hair on a silver screen that you like haven't that's currently not the appeal for Eurocentric standards, that matters. So seeing like something culturally like that, culturally inspired, is just magnificent and heartwarming, and it brings all the like fuzzies to my stomach. It's glorious. Oh.
Yeah, and I think the best scene to show off those costumes and everything else is when he's taking the throne and he's taking the challenges to begin with. You've got them all up on that waterfall. And I also like that every single tribe has its own look. So you were able to even get more costumes in there. Each one of those 4 tribes that sit at the throne room, or however you want to call it, had their different characteristics, their different colors, and it just made everything into a rainbow. It was perfect.
Awesome. I enjoyed the realism of everything. It did not feel like you were watching a superhero movie. It was very you felt the realism like you were just viewing a movie where people had these extraordinary circumstances, like a meteor coming and having their country thrive and deciding to keep it secret and still going about their way of life. Like, you had people taking care of rhinos, you had people, planting. I mean, it felt very real, and you don't get that with a lot of superhero movies, or they try to and they fail miserably.
Yeah. Another thing I liked about this is it does have a humorous side, but the humor isn't something that's going to be slapsticky. I think Cherie is the perfect part of that. I loved her from the very beginning when she flips him off as she walks away. The joke about him wearing his dad's sandals.
What are those?
It's the humor is paced out, and exactly that scene right there, where it just, when things have been dragging on for a bit, there's just a little pop of humor to keep it going. It's perfect.
The first time you meet her is with a joke. He froze, didn't he? Like an antelope in headlights.
And that's another thing too with that first scene in the jungle. Since we are on film 18 and we can introduce characters left and right, we don't have to spend half of this movie as an origin story. We've had the origin story. We get a few flashbacks. But the great thing about this too is this is one of those films in the MCU where somebody who has never seen another film can jump into this and be completely fine. They give you the backstory through Civil War, but if you notice, they don't show any of the other characters from Civil War except for T'Chaka. So it's all Black Panther's story. So you don't have to worry about who's Captain America and what he's doing, or who blah, 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 blah. All that's fine. And it allows us to dive right in. So that jungle fight scene in the first few seconds, well, I guess after the 1992 backstory, it's great. He literally drops in on the action just like us, and it's perfect for that reason.
No other Avenger was in this movie. Other Avengers movies, you have, even an Iron Man.
The White Wolf was in here.
Oh, okay, there's that, but that's like the last 5 seconds. Come
on. The other thing I think that really I appreciate about this was, and Reggie, you hit on this a little bit already, the themes going on in here. There were several. Obviously, the theme of oppression and the theme of dealing with cultures that are not of your own and how you see those cultures for better or for worse. But also there's that idea of, and T'Challa says it perfectly in the middle credits end scene where he says, "Fools build barriers while the wise build bridges." And obviously that was a reference to our current times, whether you like it or not. But it speaks to what Wakanda has dealt with for thousands of years. They have decided that they are better off enclosed and alone, and this guy has decided that no, it's time to build some bridges and to show that we can be a part of the civilization, which obviously is pretty important since a big purple man's about ready to take over the entire world. Good timing. Anything else on the like side, guys?
Too much. There's just so much.
The chat room's going good here too. Shane is talking about why we didn't see some of the other Avengers. He's thinking that Cap is guarding the Soul Stone. That's another thing I noticed that we didn't deal with here is there's still one Infinity Stone hanging out there. And obviously it's going to be a part of Infinity War since Thanos is collecting the stones. But I don't think Cap is in Wakanda right now. I think at the end of Civil War it is kind of shown that he is in Wakanda, but I don't see Captain America sitting out that big fight at the end. So I don't think he's there. And obviously, go ahead.
Can I toss out a weird theory / I'm hoping that this is a real thing because I don't want to see the end of it.
What do you think? This is a podcast or something? Theories.
You're right. So I have this theory / deep hope that somehow the Infinity Stone is going to be the resource that brings back the heart-shaped herb. I have no reason or logic or anything to indicate why I believe this, but I'm really hoping so because like Killmonger burned all of them. So like, what's gonna happen?
Good theory.
Yeah, and
so I'm just saying.
I was kind of trying to figure that out in my head. I get vibranium. I understand what vibranium is. How does vibranium make special herbs that make you powerful and high at the same time?
Yeah.
Was a Soulstone part of that asteroid or something? Maybe that's a good thought. I mean, obviously, as we've seen from the trailers in Infinity War, they're coming for Wakanda hard because one of the main battles is going to be in Wakanda. So there's a reason why Thanos wants to take it. Either it's because of the advanced technology and he wants to get them off the board, or it's because there's something else there that he needs. So you could be very well right.
I think Cap he's not in Wakanda, but he's close. I mean, I think he's near, so he can be near Bucky and protect Bucky. But like you said, he might be protecting the Soul Stone, which could be there as well.
Yeah, and because Thor has told them about the stones, so they know that there is something up with that. And obviously, at the end of Ragnarok, Thanos has at least one stone because Loki, the little bitch that he is, gave him one. So,
we see that in the trailer too.
Yeah. So let's go ahead and talk about some things we may have not liked about the film. So, Deshani, do you have anything that stands out of things you didn't like about the film?
Yeah, it wasn't long enough. That'd be one thing. Maybe.
What did you say?
I said it wasn't long enough. The movie could have been longer.
Oh. Neither is your mic cable right now.
Stop.
Yeah.
I'm having technical difficulties.
No, I completely agree with you. Some films, go long and you're looking at your watch. I didn't want this sucker to end.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a cop-out. That's not something you didn't like, but okay.
Okay. No, seriously. Something I didn't like. There's some characters missing. Like, I question some of the characters that are missing. Like, there's an adopted brother. Where is he?
He's the adopted what?
The adopted brother. There's oh crap, I forgot his name.
I don't remember his name either.
He's a foreigner, quote, and I think that just, means he's white, but there's an adopted brother in there somewhere that we didn't see. So I'm like, where's he?
Okay.
That's the only thing I didn't like.
Reggie, what do you got?
Oh man. So I would have loved to see a little more about Shuri. I think that she's got a great part in the movie, but I would have loved to see like more with her and even a little more from uh Danae's character, Okoye, the leader, the
Mm-hmm.
captain of the guard. Um and even her romance with Daniel Kaluuya's character. I totally butchered his name. Wakabi, uh, the guy that they were fighting, and I really would have loved to see more backstory or um, understanding of what their history was like.
Mm-hmm.
But to do that, I guess more so you'd have to be more immersed in the civilian life of Wakanda, and there's not really like a whole lot of room for that. There was a lot going on, so I do understand why it wasn't a thing. Like,
Mm-hmm.
but it totally would have been nice.
Yeah, I agree with you on the Wakabi storyline because we get that reference right at the beginning when he's with his rhinos that she calls him my love.
Mm-hmm.
But there are other scenes where they are in the same room together that could have easily played off that, especially when Killmonger takes over. They're both in the room. She could be
Yeah,
looking to him like, "What the hell are you doing? Why are you the one letting him into the room?" And she doesn't do any of that. So it's kind of a missed opportunity when at the end he's charging after her or after T'Challa, and she jumps in the way, and he stops. They could have built up that relationship more and made that more impactful. I agree with you there. Loons, what do you got?
Um, to me, the visuals were fantastic. I mean, they were really good. I don't know. When I was watching it, to me, some of the visuals seemed a little unpolished. I mean, visual effects. That last fight scene, you could see the borders, and you're like, okay, was this fought in a green screen, or were these guys digitally put in? So some of the visuals weren't quite. And I'm not saying. I mean, this is just that one instance, that final fight scene. Everything else was great. Like that final fight scene, I just noticed that some of the visuals looked a little. I don't know, not finished. And then like, and at the very end with the Rhino, some of the when you see like the Rhino turn, I just noticed some things. But I mean, other than that, the visuals were great. I mean, I really don't have much to say other than that. I mean, I generally thought this movie was really well put together, except for like last minute polishing.
I'm starting to wonder if part of this is because Marvel has 3 movies in production at any given time.
Yeah.
And I felt the same thing. The CGI was lacking in a few parts. When they're falling into the cave at the end,
Yep.
it was
Yep.
obviously cartoony.
Yep.
Even though I really liked the choreography of the casino scene, it got a little cartoony, especially when he's jumping around the walls.
Yeah.
And I think a few more, months of polish on that CGI would have made it look better. And I'm just nitpicking at this point because I love
Me
this
too.
movie.
Me too.
But I think part of it is because you got at the same time that this is in post production, Infinity War is in post production, and probably Ragnarok was in post production at the same time.
Ant-Man and Wasp.
Ant-Man and Wasp was in filming and probably in post production at the very end of this. So they are strained. And I looked at the credits. There was about 7 visual effects studios that were used on this film. So I think
Wow.
they're tapping everybody in town, and I think they don't have enough time to get this stuff done. And as much as I
What
love this,
happens when you're a whore?
well, and I love it though. I mean, we've had 18 films, and I think there hasn't really been a dud yet. I mean, maybe Dark World was a dud, but for the most part, I like all these films. So I'm not upset that I'm getting more of them. But if we had the few less, I think the polish would have been there more. The one thing I didn't like about this is, again, like most superhero films, they like to off their villains.
Yeah.
I don't
Claw-
think.
Go ahead, Reggie.
ahead.
Go ahead.
No, I
Well, I was
just,
just
I don't really think that Killmonger is dead. I know they saw him like.
Dude's got a knife in the heart. How much you want to do to him?
I don't know, man. Something in me does not believe that he's dead. I don't know why. I have no idea.
Has everyone seen John Wick 2?
Yes.
Okay, so and this is a spoiler for John Wick 2. Common is one of the they're all villains in it, but Common is one of the adversaries, and Keanu Reeves stabs Common right in the heart, and he says, "I've just stabbed your aorta. If you pull out that knife, you're going to die." So Common just ends the movie just sitting there on a subway, saying, "Good move. Can't do anything right now. Good move." Because he stabbed him in the same place. He's like, "Yeah, But then he pulls that knife out, and I'm just like, yeah, you're done. But I hope you're right, because I love Michael B. Jordan as an actor, unless he's a Human Torch. And
Mistakes were made.
Mistakes were made, yes. And I Killmonger, I think there's so much that could be done with that character, and the especially now that Wakanda is opening itself up to the world, he could be that foil moving forward, and that's one of the reasons why I'm unhappy that they killed him. And then with Claw, I love the way that they handled Claw. I think his crazy but smart atmosphere about him. The best show of that is when they're in the museum and he says, "Hey, I'll let you go. I'll let you go. Go ahead, just run." And he pops the guy in the back of the head. And you think at first this guy's just a sadistic bastard, but he's like, no, this makes it look like we were, amateurs because we sprayed the room. So he's crazy, but he's smart. Crazy. And so when they killed him, I was thinking the whole scene in the boneyard. I was thinking, please don't kill this guy. Don't kill this guy. He's too good. Don't kill this guy. And they popped him, unfortunately.
Well, Claw is an arch villain of Panther, right? Like,
yeah.
So when they killed him, I was like, they did it again.
That's the problem with Marvel is they do pop their villains way too much.
Way too soon. Way too much. Yeah.
Yeah, because Claw. We saw Claw in Age of Ultron. He could be a foil for a lot of things, and he's never going to be the big bad. But Andy Serkis is such a great actor. You could have him pop into 3 or 4 different movies just for fun, and now you've spoiled that. Yep. And again with Killmonger, there is so much you could have done with that character that now you're not going to be able to.
So much you opened with him. I mean, you opened his potential for so much with how deeply layered his character was that they just shut it down.
Yeah. Well, and then also, that's another reason why I really do like how they use M'Baku, though, because M'Baku is another one of those main characters against Black Panther, and we got his backstory now. So when he starts being a foil for T'Challa later on, you already know who this dude is, and you like this dude because he had some great comedic scenes, and he saved the day at the end. So he's a hero right now. So yeah, I'm just kidding. We're vegetarian.
Right.
Can we talk about that for a second?
Please, let's talk about it.
So I read this article, I just stumbled upon it, and it threw out the theory that African large men are thought of as savages, and that line being slipped in just blows that theory out of the water. Because we're vegetarians, we don't eat people. I won't feed you my children. I'm just kidding. Sit here and giggle. I love that.
Well, and then also just the simple fact is he was given the last of the herb. He could be the most powerful guy there, and he decides to give it to T'Challa, partly because he knows he can't win this thing without him, but partly because he's an honorable guy. He knows, I challenged this guy and lost, and he saved my life by not throwing me off the mountain with a broken neck, so I owe this dude.
He also asked, well, was the battle fair? Were they equally yoked? Yep. Oh, okay, well, what do you want?
Yeah, dude couldn't put up a fight, so he's done. But let's be perfectly honest here. These comics started coming out in the 60s. So there is a lot of racism in Black Panther comics, especially originally. M'Baku is called Man-Ape. So going back to your whole idea that the big African men are savages, in the comic he was a savage. So I like the fact that they're playing this off and using that against type in this film. It's really, really good. And he comes out as one of the most likable characters in the film.
They also did it with the costuming too, as opposed to having a full-skinned ape on him. They toned it down.
Yeah, but you could get the impression that this guy, he lives in the high mountains, and he is he's very built. Yes. And if it wasn't for the fact that T'Challa was just smaller and faster, he would have wiped the floor with him.
Climbed him like a mountain. Just saying.
Yep. Anything else that we want to complain about? So let's go ahead and let's wrap this sucker up a little bit with some discussion about where we rate this in the overall MCU. So we'll make it easy because there's 18 films, so I don't want to like have you rank all 18. So give me a grade, a letter grade for the film, and then tell me where you think it is, and like, is it top 5? Is it top 10? Is it bottom 5? Where does this film fall into your idea of where the Marvel films have been so far? And then after that, we'll talk a little bit about our predictions moving forward. So let's go to Deshani first.
I'm going to rank this as a top 10. I'm still a big fan of Iron Man movies. I know that's weird, but I just am. So it's in the top 10. I'm not calling it number 1 yet because I want more films to push it up there.
Cool. And what's your grade for it? Letter grade.
I'm going to give it a solid A minus.
Cool.
Solid A minus.
Reggie, what do you got?
Ooh, okay. So, given the acting ability of everyone that was on screen, the writing ability of the script, the visuals, and the directorial style, I have to give it an A. I'm with Deshani. I'd say A minus because I don't give like solid A pluses. That's unattainable. Get out. But yeah, I will say that I would dare say that this is, I'll say, top 7 in the Marvel universe. Top 7. Mm-hmm. That seems about right.
Cool.
And there's some ties in there, so
Way to throw an odd number at me. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Glad to.
Ryan, what do you got?
When you said letter grade, I thought A minus. So I'm grading with the other two. A minus for sure. Everything about the film was executed very well, but again, that A plus is hard to obtain. They did a good job, so I would definitely say A minus. As for MCU, when I'm sitting here doing this Marvel, watch a movie starting in January, I'm going back and revisiting everything and paying close attention. I would definitely say Black Panther is top 5 for me. Because after I watched that, I was like, okay, let's watch the movie for the week this week, and last week it was Iron Man 3. And I'm like,
I'm sorry.
Oh, and this week I have Thor: Dark World, so I'm like, all right, Black Panther.
Iron Man 3 is one of those that you either loved it or you hated it. I hated it. And the reason why I hated it is one reason and one reason alone, and that is they ruined the Mandarin.
Yep, thank you. Boom.
So, for me, I think I have to give this an A or an A plus. I think this thing had everything going for it, and it had everything going for it even with the hype. There was so much hype going into this because, obviously, it's the first solo film for a main black character in the MCU. We've had Blade, but that was, not MCU.
He's an anti-hero.
Yeah, and Wesley Snipes would like you to remember that he was the first. he is pushing very hard to point out that he was around first, but okay. But along with that, having an excellent young director with Coogler, everything, this film was set up to fail, and the fact that the hype was so high. And not only did it make the hype, for me, it went above it because there was so much going in here. I did not expect the female characters to be the leads of the film to a point where T'Challa again takes a back seat. I didn't expect that at all, and I loved it about it. Excuse me. So, and the other thing I really loved about this film, again, as I already mentioned, is it is not the typical MCU film. I see this as how the MCU is going to become once we get through the last 2 Avenger films that we know are coming, and the fact that they're not going to be as intertwined. And I was really upset about that idea because I love the continuity and everything being intertwined. But this film, aside from the very end, can be set on its own, and I'm completely fine with that, and I'm happy with that. And so this film kind of proved me wrong, which I loved about it too. And in terms of where I rank it, I need to see it again because now I can see it with a kind of a more discerning eye that I've watched it once. But with that, I think my top 2 will continue to be one, Avengers, just because since I was 3 years old, I didn't think they could make that film, and the fact that they made that film will always be my number 1 for that reason. And I still think Winter Soldier is
Yes.
probably the strongest Marvel
Yes.
film put to cinema. But I can see this in my top 3 or top 4. It is such a good film. And I think it will continue to be a strong film for me when I see it again soon, I hope. So let's talk a little bit about where we see the MCU going. Obviously, in about 2 or 3 months, we have Infinity War, where people going to die. And then we have Ant-Man and the Wasp is going to round out 2018 for us in the summertime. So in the next 5 months, we have 2 more Marvel films coming. And then next year we have Captain Marvel. We have the next Spider-Man film. And then we also have
Infinity War 2.
Avengers 4, which they have not titled yet. Avengers 4, Everyone Dead.
Zombies.
Marvel Zombies. There you go. Galactus comes and gets ate by Spider-Man. That's what's going to happen next.
Oh my gosh.
The chat room was mentioning Galactus, so I had to throw that out there. So, where do you guys see this going? How does this tie into the future of it, and what are you excited about with the MCU coming up here? And let's go to Ryan first.
You know, I'm a fan of the MCU. My favorite superhero is Batman, but I've really come to love Marvel through the MCU because I'm a big movie guy, and it's got me interested in the comics. But I see this going in the positive direction. Like you say, they're going to make more movies that are going to be more standalone. They're not going to rely heavily on this continuity. But all hell's going to break loose here soon. What I loved in the trailer and what I loved about Black Panther being the last movie before Infinity War is the fact that you see all of Wakanda fighting the forces of Thanos. That really, really brought everything together. But like you say, I think people are going to die. Downey Jr.'s contract's up. Evans' contract's up. Hemsworth's contract's up. And once you look at what they're trying to do after these Infinity War movies, it's a lot of standalone movies. I mean, you have the Ant-Man and Wasp. They're just their continuing adventures. You have, Captain Marvel, her origin story. So I'm eager to see what they're going to do, but I'm also very excited. So,
Reggie.
So I'm very eager too, just for the simple fact of I love superheroes. I don't always know who I'm like watching, but I love superheroes. It's an American pastime. Like it's great. But if I don't get a Storm movie, I'm going to like.
Well,
I don't even know, man.
Yeah. There was a lot of cosplaying. I saw this film in Virginia, in Alexandria. I was out there for work, and there was a lot of cosplaying. And one of the best cosplaying was somebody was dressed like T'Challa, and his girlfriend was dressed like Storm. She had the long white hair. She had the X-Men outfit. Those
Black
two
Panther
walking together made me like, okay, I want that film right now. Because in the comics, well, they're divorced now, but in the comics, Storm and T'Challa were married.
That's a great crossover for X-Men.
Well, and
really...
in Disney's quest to own all of my childhood, they are in the middle of buying Fox.
Yep.
So probably by 2020, the X-Men will come home. In fact, unless there was a deal made under the table, we won't see them in Infinity War because the feds have to approve the deal. But I would say by Marvel Avengers 4, we will have at least inklings of mutants. And I think the X-Men will come home soon enough.
I really hope so. I hope so much. Because like if X-Men and mutants are opened up to MCU, the possibilities are really endless. Like for real endless. Because even once we move past X-Men, there are so many mutants in the Brotherhood and within other factions that exist. But we don't need to just get on mutants because like that's a whole nother story. But yeah, I would love to see. I'm really stoked about Captain Marvel, but I really just like I'm trying to like prepare myself for Infinity Wars. That's I'm not ready. Not ready.
I hear you. Deshani, what do you got?
I am ready for Infinity Wars, mostly because I'm hoping that the impact of Black Panther, just the marketing and outreach and what Marvel can possibly bring in just from this one movie alone. If they look at that and say, okay, what can we do with these heroes to make people want to see them more? Because you just had to say Black Panther's coming. People went crazy. So what are you giving us in Infinity Wars that's going to make us go, I need to see that? Yes, Black Panther's going to be there. They're going to fight Wakanda. I am there. I am ready. But I also want to see Captain America and I want to see Iron Man. I just want to see this battle royale happening. And I'm hoping that visually they don't try to go overboard because I don't feel like that happened in Black Panther. I don't feel like they digitally tried too hard. So I was more into it. And I'm hoping they go the same way with that.
Agreed. With me, obviously, Infinity War has been something that we've been building to ever since we saw Thanos at the very end of Avengers. I'm really excited for that. But to be perfectly honest, the film I'm most excited for is Captain Marvel. And the reason is because DC has already proven a female character can lead a movie because Wonder Woman was the only one that wasn't schlock in the DC universe. Yeah, Man of Steel sucked too. I'm just throwing it out there.
I hated it.
He was not Superman. Just saying. So with Captain Marvel, there's a couple things going for it. One, again, I'm a father of 2 daughters, so I want them to have as many female leads as they can find. But also, Captain Marvel is going to be based in the 1990s, so it's going to be a different kind of film. And there are rumors and that it's going to involve the Secret Wars, which means the Skrulls and Secret Invasion. Secret Wars, something different. The Secret Invasion with the Skrulls and them being shapeshifters and hiding and being people we may have seen before that turn out to not be who we thought they were. And obviously this is a lead up right into the 4th Avengers film where everything just goes to hell in a handbasket. And it's the culmination of those 11 years of MCU films at that point. So I think Captain Marvel is going to be more of a linchpin than people are expecting, and I'm looking forward to it a lot. Not to mention, if you don't know the comics, Captain Marvel is one of the most powerful superheroes in the universe. So she is Marvel's Superman, and it's going to be fun to watch her kick butt. Anything else anyone wanted to add about the film or anything else before we wrap this sucker up? Reggie.
I totally want to see Princess Shuri. And Tony Stark like trade shots.
Oh, I think it's going to happen.
It's like Battle of the Wits. Oh my gosh!
I think it's going to happen because she's now the emissary of Wakanda and handling all of their tech. Well, not just their tech. She's handling their foundation basically.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, and so you have the Stark Foundation, you have Wakanda, and they're gonna butt heads sooner or later.
Oh yeah,
I'm looking forward to it, and I think she could hold her own against Stark. Yeah, she's a powerhouse. I love that girl. The one thing we never even talked about, Martin Freeman in this film too, I really loved as well.
He was great.
Little Bilbo Baggins himself.
The original Jim from The Office.
Because when I was expecting somebody to bite it here, one of the heroes, and I thought for sure it was going to be him. When he decides to say, I'm going to go back in there and take out the last of the tech ships while they're trying to blast me to death, I figured for sure he was toast at that point. But I am glad that he's going to be able to stick around because his character's fun. And it's, as Cherie says, oh, good, another white boy to fix. I'm looking forward to that. Yeah, that was a nice little slam at white culture. I appreciated it. Yeah, so this anything else, Deshani or Ryan, you want to add? I've now lost it.
I am excited for the DVD with the extended scenes. That's next.
You just want to see more T'Challa.
I'm waiting to hear Coogler in the director's commentary. I can't wait to hear the decisions he made and everything, his whole thought process during the whole thing, because Coogler's a force to be reckoned with in Hollywood.
Well, and the stories that came out a few weeks ago is Coogler didn't want to take on this film. He did not want to be in a franchise film because he already took on the Rocky franchise, and he did not want to be in. He didn't want to be the blockbuster director. And the reason why he took this film is because, one, the storyline, but also that they had Chadwick Boseman. He really wanted to work with Chadwick Boseman. And so he took the film. And I'm so glad he did because he is an amazing director. But yeah, so that will close things up for us in this discussion. And then we look forward to obviously spoiling the hell out of Infinity War here on May 4th. But we have a lot of other things going on right now with the Front Row Network, including we have our Beyond the Mouse, which is a Disney podcast. We have our Are You Afraid of the Dark retrospective, looking at every single one of the Are You Afraid of the Dark episodes from Nickelodeon back in the day. I'm doing my Twilight Zone podcast, looking at every single episode of the original Twilight Zone. Even though we've taken about 4 weeks off because my other guy's been sick, we'll be back, I swear. And we have so much more going on. So please check us out at thefrontrowmoviereviews.com. You can also email us at thefrontrowmoviereviews@gmail.com. You can find us on all your social media haunts by searching The Front Row. And then also, if you're watching this on YouTube, please be sure to give us a like and a subscribe and click that notify button. If you click the notify button, you'll be told when we go live like this, and you can join in the chat room and join in the discussion as we have today. And then if you're listening to your podcast version of this, please make sure you give us a subscribe and give us a review on your podcast app of choice. We are trying very hard to get out to more folks, and the only way to do that is for you to give us a subscribe and a review. So thanks, everybody, for joining us today. It's been a great conversation.
Thank you.
I have been Scott, and with me has been...
You didn't tell us what order to do it.
I did it before we started.
Oh, that was for the end too? Oh, okay, then it's me. Deshani. Bye.
I'm Reggie.
I'm Ryan. See you guys.
The best laid plans of mice and men. Well, and until next time, just remember, fools build barriers, the wise build bridges. And we will see you in the front row. Have a good one, folks.